are the conditions that make the teachers, especially teachers of English, becomes insecure or uncertain. The first one is underpayment of language teachers, especially for honorary teachers, right? Guru honorer, or probably the full teacher, but in the private schools, yeah. So this is such the common issues that we know that the earnings of the honorary teachers are very small. Yeah, around 400,000 rupiah they can earn only in a month. Yeah, in the illustration that I gave here is even the teachers at the Bonafide schools, yeah, at the for example international schools like my student, for example, I asked her right now. She is the teacher of one of the international schools. Even as the international school teachers, their salary is, yeah, for me is not really comparable to the tuition that have to be paid by the students there. Jadi nggak sepadan kayaknya antara honor yang diterima guru sekolah internasional, ya, walaupun mungkin it's not really yeah, probably because the school is not really famous, or probably they have lack of students that make the policy maker of the school have to pay the, what is it, not too big salary for them, gitu ya. Nah, bahkan ini ya, the school teachers in Jakarta. Jakarta is the capital city. Yeah, right now it's not the capital city anymore. Yeah, IKN is our capital city. Yeah, the schools in Jakarta, the earnings is around 30,000 or 50,000 per hour. Yeah. So for us, probably who lives in not in a big city compared to Jakarta, probably 30,000 to 50,000 is relatively big. But for people who live in Jakarta, with so many expenses, yeah, the earnings which are around 30 to 50 is small relatively. So there are so many teachers, yeah, in big cities and even in the small cities, gitu ya, in the rural areas, yeah. So the teachers, most of the teachers still underpaid. They have underpayment, yeah, for becoming the teachers. So so these three are actually the alternative solutions for underpayment of language teachers. Maybe some of you can share probably what can be the alternative solutions for the condition of underpayment of language teachers. So the first one is probably the government must strictly determine the minimum wages, the minimum salary for teachers. Yeah. So it is expected that the Ministry of Education and Culture could set a standard wage, standard salary for teachers, educators, yeah, instructors. Yeah. And the second one is the unionization. Jadi banyak ya organisasi guru ya, kayak MGMP gitu ya. Ya, so
Unisa boleh slideshow?
hah? Gimana?
Belum slideshow ini kayaknya.
Oh, iya, belum terlihat ya Pak Adin?
Terlihat tapi maksudnya sudah slideshow ya? Di saya masih.
Sudah sih.
Oh ya, oke.
Belum slideshow, Bu.
Belum slideshow.
Masih ya.
Oh gitu.
Coba buka, Bu.
Ya, oke.
Ya, lupa saya. Sorry ya.
nggak apa-apa. Oke.
unionization for teachers such as MGMP, probably they must have the big role harus berani untuk menyuarakan gitu ke pemerintah gitu to negotiate to especially to the policy maker to provide better payment and to provide working conditions also collectively. And the last one is promoting public awareness, highlighting the value of language education to parents and students might push institutions to prioritize quality over low cost. Nah, jadi ini 3 alternative solutions. Probably any other solutions that can be offered by probably some participant here can share probably. Okay. Yeah, I continue, yes. Okay, the second condition that make the teachers precarity or the teachers become uncertain, insecure is lack of respect for the profession. So actually becoming a teacher is not such a proud, we are so. Jadi kayaknya menjadi guru itu bukan suatu kebanggaan, gitu ya. Or sometimes perceived as a side hustle rather than a serious career. Ya, ini terjadi kebanyakan di pedesaan gitu ya. Pekerjaan utamanya dia punya kebun sawit, sampingannya guru gitu kira-kira. So ya itu tadi ya. Jadi lack of respect for the profession itu yang gara-garanya juga because the teachers feel that they are insecure of the profession itself as the teacher. Nah, apalagi sekarang ini sebenarnya nanti dibahas untuk isu kedua, ada suatu tren there are many trends especially in English courses that whenever the English course can provide the native speakers of English to become one of the teachers there, itu bisa menjadi daya jual dari lembaga kursus tersebut. Bahkan kadang-kadang juga native speakers-nya itu they do not have teaching credentials. Nggak ada latar belakang keguruan itu. Pokoknya asal ada aja gitu native speakers. Gitu ya. Okay, so how is the alternative solution? How are the alternative solutions for lack of respect for the profession? Probably for me that I can alter the 3 alternatives. Probably if one of you can also add, so I believe we need to have professional certification. So mandatory teacher training programs like TEFL that elevate the profession, and then highlighting local expertise, and then cultural advocacy. So these 3, especially if we are really serious to maintain our professionalism as the teacher, so we need to have these 3 alternatives to make us become proud as a teacher. Okay, the next issue that makes the teachers becomes uncertain or insecure or teachers precarity is precarious work conditions. For example, here, many language teachers in Indonesia are hired on short-term contracts. Nah, ini biasanya kontrak-kontrak ini di lembaga kursus ya, mungkin ya Bapak Ibu ya. Kayak saya dulu waktu ngajar lembaga kursus yang agak bonafit juga ada kontrak ini loh. Bahkan ijazahnya ditahan pada waktu itu, gitu ya. These roles often lack benefits, ya, like health insurance or paid leave ya. Karena kontrak namanya kita juga kontrak ya. Jadi uncertain condition ya. If student enrollment drops, teachers may find their hours suddenly reduced or their contracts not renew. Karena kalau kontrak kan itu tahunan ya. The contract is usually renewed annually, right? So, yeah, once again, it depends on the condition of the institution. And this condition makes the teacher becomes insecure once again. Yeah, so they have worried all the time that they will be stopped to become the teachers at the institution. And this condition becomes the precarity conditions that make the teachers once again becomes uncertain and insecure. So these are the solutions, probably alternative solutions for precarious work conditions. The first one is more stable employment opportunities. Yeah. So the government and language institutions, yeah, are expected actually to provide longer-term teaching contracts instead of annual contract, yeah, and ensure access to benefits like health insurance and paid leave. Ya, banyak sekali nih lembaga-lembaga kursus kayaknya belum menyediakan health insurance. Ya, mereka itu hanya menjembatani saja rata-rata untuk BPJS itu misalnya, tapi biasanya iurannya itu masih dipotong gaji biasanya, banyak masih seperti itu ya kan. And then professional development support. So schools can invest in ongoing training and mentorship program to help teachers build their skills and advance their careers. And then the one is improve working conditions, where institutions can prioritize teachers' well-being by limiting excessive hours, providing adequate classroom resources, fostering a positive work environment. And the last one is stable contracts. The government could require private schools to offer permanent roles to long-term educators, including, yeah. This one is the trend issues. What is this called? Neoliberalism, race to bottom practices. So one of the example is online platform ya. Ini sebenarnya nggak boleh sebut merek ini. Ya kayak Ruang Guru ya, or any online private tutoring application ya, often push teachers to compete on price. Jadi karena tawaran aplikasi-aplikasi itu menawarkan lower price, right? Lower price than the course which are totally held by the teachers purely. Jadi kan tawaran platform-platform ini adalah dengan minimum price gitu kan, layanannya lebih maksimal ketimbang ya courses yang memang dihandle oleh guru gitu kan, yang dijanjikan online platform ini. So with lower fees ya, being more attractive students ya, siapa sih yang nggak suka dengan harga murah tapi kualitasnya memang bagus gitu kan. And this competition leads teachers to undervalue their work gitu. Jadinya malah guru malah merendahkan harganya gitu kan, merendahkan harga diri bukan ya, merendahkan harga juga gitu jadinya gitu kan, gara-gara kondisi persaingan ini gitu. Nah, how are the solutions? Probably I don't know whether it can be effective or not. We can discuss. So the first one probably is fair pricing policies, where platform and schools should establish minimum rates to prevent teachers from undervaluing their services. Jadi harusnya ya ada win-win solution lah ya. Ya, antara kita manusia, guru gitu ya. Guru yang di kelas maksudnya. Ya, guru yang di kelas dengan institusi-institusi yang menyediakan online platforms ya, with reducing fees gitu ya. Jadi jangan banting harga gitu, harus ada win-win solution gitu kan. Should establish minimum rates. So they have to bargain actually ya, baiknya sih. And then quality focus marketing. Yeah, where promoting smaller class sizes and well-trained teachers as selling points can shift focus from low cost to high quality education. Ya, jadi kita ini membina lembaga misalnya kan, jangan hanya mementingkan semakin banyak jumlah siswa, semakin banyak keuntungan gitu ya. Jangan begitu juga ya. Maka so we need to promote smaller class sizes and well-trained teachers to make the quality of education becomes higher gitu. And then teacher empowerment by providing teachers or educators with tools and resources to develop their own teaching brands or business can help them bypass exploitative platform. Nah, jadi harus mengupgrade diri, sarana prasarananya ini terutama ya, tools and resources. In order to develop their own brand, in order to be competitive with the platforms, the educational platforms. Okay, the second key issue besides teachers' precarity, like what I have explained previously, is native speakerism. Nah, ini juga isu yang dari zaman dahulu kala ini sebenarnya ya, sampai sekarang ya. Sepertinya masih pro and contra ya. So native speakerism refers to the bias that privilege teachers who are native speakers of English over equally or more qualified non-native English-speaking teachers. This bias is deeply rooted in perceptions of language ownership, cultural hierarchies, and global power dynamics. Jadi kayaknya udah tren ya, pokoknya kalau institusi sekolah mungkin ya yang internasional gitu ya, sama kan lembaga kursus juga yang menawarkan native speaker, dipajang fotonya ya, pasti dianggap high class gitu kan, pasti dianggap punya kualitas lebih gitu dibanding guru-guru yang non-native seperti kita gitu. Kita kan non-native ya, non-native English speaking teachers. Okay, so actually this issue is from the condition that the students Indonesian students believe that speaking English with a British or American accent reflects higher proficiency. Yeah, this preference is often reinforced by parents, teachers, and media that glorify Western. Ya. Jadi ini kayaknya udah menjadi tren ya. Kalau kita kebule-bulean gitu dalam ngomong gitu ya, justru malah dianggap punya gengsi tersendiri gitu ya. Padahal itu saya pernah menonton salah satu konten dari konten kreator yang tinggal di Amerika. So she is Japanese actually. She speaks English with Japanese accent to native speakers there, the American people, of course. And as far as the message is conveyed, is conveyed comprehensively, it doesn't matter at all, gitu. Jadi native speakers itu nggak peduli aksen bahkan sebenarnya. Nah, cuman yang jadi perkara ini ketika whenever we as non-native speakers pronounce the word incorrectly. Whenever we pronounce the word incorrectly, it makes the message that we want to convey become incomprehensible, nggak bisa dipahami. Itu. Jadi sebenarnya esensi komunikasi itu bukan memiliki aksen yang kebule-bulean ya menurut saya. Tapi yang jelas pesan kita tuh sampai. That's the essential thing in bridging the communication. Gitu. Okay, so what are the solutions? First is by promoting intelligibility over accent. So the teachers and schools should emphasize clarity and effective communication. So what I have told you before, the Indonesian people, the Japanese people, Japanese accent, whenever they can deliver what they want to say, what they want to convey, and the partner of the communication can comprehend the message uttered by us. So it means that the communication has run effectively. Jadi itu aja sebenarnya. Ketika seseorang bisa memahami apa yang kita komunikasikan, apapun aksennya sebenarnya, so there will be no communication breakdowns. Gitu kan? Yang malah bahayanya ini aksen kebule-bulean, tapi pronunciation katanya salah. Maka message-nya kan nggak sampai. Gitu. And then role models with diverse accents. So by highlighting successful Indonesians who speak English fluently with their natural accent to inspire students. Nah, ini tadi yang dicontohkan oleh salah satu konten kreator di IG itu. Saya follow bahkan karena banyak siapa namanya saya lupa karena banyak di situ pembelajaran budaya yang bisa kita dapat. Nah dia orang Jawa. Mengapa dia tidak harus beraksen-aksen yang ke Amerikaan itu di sana. So we have to highlight that kind of issues, that to speak English communicatively doesn't mean that we have to acquire 100% American accents. It doesn't make sense at all. Kita memang non-native speakers, mungkin punya aksen kebule-bulean itu nggak mungkin. we can communicate well, yeah, by delivering or conveying the message well also. Itu. Jadi ngomongnya itu jangan yang membuat makna ganda. Makna ganda itu ya gara-gara pronunciation-nya salah. Jadi pronunciation tuh beda dengan aksen, itu berbeda. Itu ya. And then media representation. Encourage the use of Indonesian accented English in movies, for example, advertisements, and public figures speeches to normalize ya the trend gitu ya. Jadi jangan dikit-dikit ya yang ditonjolkan tuh ya native speakersnya pada institusi-institusi pembelajaran bahasa Inggris ya khususnya ya. Jangan begitu, justru yang kita tonjolkan tuh bagaimana sih seorang guru yang non-native, ya, but she can fluently speak by delivering the message, ya, well, ya, effectively, communicatively, pesannya itu sampai, gitu aja sih sebenarnya inti komunikasi itu, menurut saya. Okay. And why are the non-native English speakers, teachers, yeah, given their due respect and equal job opportunities? Yeah, recognition of non-native English-speaking teachers, strengths. Yeah, emphasize how non-native bilingual skills and cultural understanding make them uniquely equipped to teach English to Indonesian students. Ya, jadi sebenarnya cross itulah pentingnya, esensinya mata kuliah cross culture understanding itu sebenarnya, Bapak Ibu. So whenever we acquire the language, it doesn't mean that we have to acquire the culture of that language fully, yeah. We have also to integrate. We have to also realize that we also have our own culture, gitu loh Bapak Ibu. And then equal pay policies. So establish wage parity between native and non-native teachers, yeah, based qualifications and experience, not nationality. Nah ini yang paling penting, ya. Karena tuh kadang-kadang Bapak Ibu ya, lembaga situ ngambil non-native bukan bidang keguruan kadang-kadang. Ya, pokoknya orang bule aja. Orang bule aja yang ditarik ke lembaga kursus itu. Itu. Nah, itu yang bahaya. Ya, not based on qualifications. Not based on teaching experience. Tapi intinya cuma saja, ya itu bahaya Bapak Ibu. Itu ya. And then teacher advocacy, form associations or unions for non-native English speaking teachers, ya, to lobby for fair treatment and representation. Okay, the last key issue is educational technology in language learning. Nah ini ya. Ini the current issue di mana AI untuk pembelajaran bahasa Inggris sudah kemana-mana spreadingnya. Gitu. So the rise of educational technology has transformed students, how students learn the language. But it also raises critical questions about its true impact, particularly in Indonesia. So there are many applications right now, right? Such as application for enhancing vocabulary, applications for enhancing grammar, even the applications offered gamified learning, However, these platforms often fall short in developing conversational fluency and cultural nuances. Karena apa? Karena nggak ada partner manusia ya. Itu. Ya, maka tidak ada cultural nuances right there. Ya, solusinya gimana? So combine, you have to combine the flexibility of educational technology with in-person classes to provide a well-rounded language education. And then the last is localized content by developing platforms that incorporate Indonesian cultural context, making learning more relatable and engaging. So will technology replace teachers actually? Will it teachers less valuable or poorer? Yeah, where educational technology tools are widely adopted, they cannot replicate the personalized feedback and emotional support. Nah, emotional support ini yang membuat kita manusia berharga. We have emotions, yeah. We are teachers who have emotion, yeah, that we provide for our beloved students. Yeah, however, some institutions in Indonesia now rely heavily on pre-recorded lessons or AI tutors, reducing demand for full-time teachers and offering them lower pay and growth. This creates fears of marginalization among educators and teachers. And how is the solutions? Teacher integration, of course. So position teachers as facilitators. Jadi jangan kita berpasrah pada educational technology ya. So we as teachers here as the facilitator. Yeah, sure, yeah, their roles evolve rather than diminish. Jadi we have to ensure that our role as teachers cannot be diminished. Hati-hati Bapak Ibu, masa kita jadi hilang gara-gara AI gitu ya. And then government policy. We have to establish guidelines to protect teacher employment. Yeah, employment right, even in institutions heavily utilizing educational technology. And upskilling programs, of course, once again, we have to update ourselves over time ya. So, ya kita harus update diri lah terus ya dengan ngikuti training ya sampai bosan lah ya, belajar terus ya. Kita walaupun guru, kita tetap juga harus belajar gitu. Ya, terima kasih. Saya sudah